Fire alarm at 2 o'clock in the morning. Come on, we gotta go to the fire drill. Hey MTV, welcome to my crib here at Neuer. We have been in school for 7 weeks so far, more than 7 weeks, and we have already had 10 fire alarms go off at any point of the day. And to me, this is a very frustrating issue because when I used to live at my house, my fire alarm would never go off unless I need to change its batteries. And so coming to Ball State, this is a big adjustment that I need to take, where if the fire alarm goes off at 2 o'clock in the morning, that I need to evacuate. Follow me as we go into Williams Hall of Neuer. So I've been here for 7 weeks, and 10 fire alarms have gone off. That means there has been more than one fire alarm per week. And these don't care about the time. They literally go off at 2 in the morning, 7 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Because I was so fed up with all these fire alarms, I decided to interview the Assistant Director of Housing, Chris Wilkie. And my questions, I focused on what are the sources of these fire alarms, how come my hall of Neuer is going off, setting off all these alarms so much more than other halls like Johnson or Stu East and West, or even La Follette, which has many more people than we do here. And La Follette is also older than Neuer. So it's hard for me to understand why we still have more fire alarms than the oldest building here. So Chris told me that our fire alarm system is actually scheduled in the next year or so to be replaced because it is faulty and it is old. And I think that if it is faulty, then they should be replacing it sooner than in a year or more than that. That each semester there's about one scheduled drill that is supposed to occur. And out of all of the 10 fire alarms that we've had go off, only one was a scheduled drill, meaning the rest were due to either smoke or changes in moisture in the air, or personally I think people vaping. And since that was such a big trend in young adults, especially kids in college and high school, I come to believe that that is why the fire alarm is going off very late in the night, as in 2 o'clock in the morning. Because the alarm has gone off many times, I kind of think of it as the boy who cried wolf, where the more that it happens, I feel like people aren't going to come out of their dorm room. And I even know, especially in the ones in the middle of the night, that people don't even hear it, they sleep through it. So what happens in this case, I asked Chris and he said that we do take attendance when their fire alarm goes off, so there is a roll call system where if we don't know where someone is, then the cops will be sent to their door, or a trained paramedic or whatever, trained firefighter will go knock on the door and make sure everyone is out safely. But I also know that even a lot of my friends on my hall are like, I'm just not going to go out at this point because 1 out of 10 of them were actually scheduled, and so because they know that most of the time it is a drill, what's the point of going out? I mean, I would always leave my room because I would never take the chance, but I know a lot of people who would just stay in the room. These faulty alarms are putting kids at risk. If kids don't leave their rooms, the worst case scenario is they will be stuck in a burning building. And I think the school should be doing everything they can to prevent that from happening. And the first thing to do is to fix the fire alarms, because obviously there is no way that all of these alarms were caused by smoke that could lead to a potential fire. And so if they are this faulty, then this should be the school's #1 priority in order to ensure the safety of their students. So what hall do you live in?
I live in Johnson A, Botsford, Swinford.
And how many fire drills or fire alarms have you experienced so far?
I have experienced 0, but there was one planned one that I was not in attendance for.
So this was not going off from a smoke or a student, this was a drill?
This was a planned drill. They had the RAs with clipboards and the hall director screaming.
And so do you think that because you live in a newer building, this is why you haven't experienced more fire alarms going off?
I think so. I think the newer building has better fire alarm systems to detect when there's a serious fire rather than moisture or like vapes or other things like that.
Do you think that every dorm or residence hall should have the same new updated fire system that your newer building does have?
Yes, I do, just because it puts a threat to other students when they get faulty alarms, so that there's a more likely chance that they'll be in the building because they won't think it's a real deal.
Well, Jacob, thank you for answering my questions.
No problem.
Not only do these fire alarms tend to be faulty, but they're also not very loud and they're not within the rooms. So when I am in my room in the middle of the night, the fire alarm isn't even that loud. And that's why a lot of people on my floor that I know tend to sleep through them because A, they're not in our rooms, and B, they're very spread out. So the fire alarm that you just saw, that is the one in the middle of the hallway, but there's still not one by every single door, so it is a lot quieter in rooms that are farther away from the actual alarm, which could also be another prominent issue with these fire alarms. To conclude, Chris Wilkie, the Assistant Director of Housing, gave me some really good information about how these fire systems work, why they go off, why they're potentially faulty, and the progress that we are being made to change them. But while I appreciate his feedback on this end, personally, I believe that they should do whatever they could right now in order to ensure the safety of our students. Hopefully I can get the full 8 hours of sleep tonight.